Hello guys, a very good evening. Today is January 24th. Welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. So guys, another solid day. The earnings season providing so many opportunities to trade, and so we will recap everything. Before I start, for anybody who's new, this is my recap and my daily teachings from my trades that I do in the community, or any trades that I guide my community and my traders in my on voice or on trading floor. Any ideas from the people in our trading floor, and then any ideas I share on Twitter before and after. We discuss those ideas and see how we made money, where we lost money, which was our winning trade, which was our losing trade, and I show you my time-stamped guidance as well so that you can see how the things panned out. Every day I wake up 1 hour before the market open. In our community we subscribe to a lot of news sources, and me and my team, we go through all the news sources in 1 hour before market open. You can see here we have a wake up summary. We go through the wake up summary: pre-market movers 1, pre-market movers 2, pre-market movers 3. We look at the upgrades and downgrades, anything hot analyst notes in the morning, so that we can make our watch list. We come up with our watch list. For example, here's the watch list for today, guys. So we look at the marketplace, earnings, news, upgrades and downgrades. There's a lot of plays today, but we make a plan. We make a plan on everything. We have our support, we have our resistance, and how to execute trades. I put my notes out there, and then based upon what I see at the open, I trade something. I share with the community what I'm trading or what I'm seeing. Of course, there over 1,000 traders in the community. Somebody wants to trade something else. Everybody trades what they like, and that's the focus. So this was our watch list for today. We'll go through one by one through Netflix, the big winner, ASML, ISRG, TXN, bunch of other plays that we played in the community. We will go through those, and then we will also go through some of our market plays. The market plays are the plays we play every day. What I do in the pre-market, I give these levels to my traders, and what they do is they watch the support pivot, the resistance pivot. The key is so that they can identify this level. If they have their own level, they can see what my levels are, and based upon our cloud system, they can execute it. And every day we are doing the same things. We have a same repeatable setup, same system, repeat. Whatever works, we repeat it, and we do not do anything gut feeling. We trade with the trend. We stay with the trend. If the trend is long, we stay long. If trend is bearish, we stay bearish. No one in our community is getting bagged buying dips or getting squeezed trying to short. Anyways, this was a general overview, and let me start. So this right here is just apart from our trading community, where we discuss everything, and I will show you this is where my comments are, and I'm also on the voice, and I will show you how we played each of the play today. So if you're ready, let's start now. So I'm gonna start with the SPY QQQ guidance today. What was SPY doing and what was QQ doing, how we nailed the SPY and QQ today, how we made money on our SPY, SPX and QQ trades. So it was a big day there. I will tell you now how and why. So just looking at the daily chart, you can see the gap filled. So as soon as the market opened, the first thing I told everybody today was, what's the personality? Market just has few personalities every morning. You just need to identify what's the personality it's showing. Today, S&P index SPY ETF was gapping up. This was a 5th day in a row that we were gapping up. QQQ Nasdaq as well was gapping up. So I told everyone, when we are gapping up, there's always a risk of the gap fill, so we will trade accordingly. Me at the market open, my idea was to fill the gap versus the risk, because pre-market high was not breaking out. That means it's kind of a short there. So that's what I did. I was on the voice. I told everybody to short scalp that. You see the first candle of QQQ, amateur move, pulled it down $1. That was a good short scalp. SPY pulled it down from 488 risk all the way to 486.42. That was a 50% retracement on the gap. So that was the morning guidance to fill the gap that I shared with my community. So you can see here my time spent stamped commentary, and remember where did the reversal came? Yet again, 10 a.m. concept, guys. 10 a.m. concept. again 10 a.m. reversal came, that's why we takes profit. So this was the morning trade which we took on the gap down, on the gap fill, 50% gap fill. So then what we do was, when my guidance was, I was not, when it was bouncing, of course I guide my community that we are bouncing over that level, and QQQ is holding our clouds. That's our system. If you don't know my system, go to my website, read about Ripster clouds. If you still don't know, Google it, just Google Ripster clouds, you will see it. Thousands of traders over the world use that. So anyways, so SPY bounced over the clouds, meaning it's bullish. QQQ bounced off the clouds, meaning it's bullish. At that time, you could trade SPY long, trade QQQ long. I personally was not long these at that time, but we were long and scalping Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, and the other name was AMD. We'll talk about that in a bit, but that's where the market was bouncing. Now, what happened later? So in the middle of the day, guys, in the middle of the day, that's where our big huge trades came in the middle of the day. When so we have a news quack and everything, we keep eyes on that. I always teach my students that we need to have these market indicators where we watch, we watch yields, we watch VIX, we watch bonds, so they have the relationship with SPY. For example, if yields goes higher, SPY and market goes down. So we keep a watch on them. So what happened right at 1 p.m. That's when the bond auction hits. So the bond auction hits is related to yield. I'm not an expert. If you want to know more, you can Google it. But the point is, anytime lately, bond auction has been moving the markets. When we hit the bond auction, right after that, yield started to push, VIX started to push, so market became bearish. So market broke the first 512 clouds. I said market broke 512 clouds, and it will pull to 3450. It pulled to 3450. Then SPY broke 3450 clouds, means it's bearish. I was on a voice, we discussed that in SPX and SPY room, that it's bearish. And I said only short scalps, nothing else. Do not try to long it. It's in the gap. My gap teachings. We are now back in that gap, which was pending from the morning, and we should fill that gap. It bounced off there again, but it rejected the 512 EMA clouds again. So I hit the short right there at the top as well, and then and then the gap filled, boom, right? So we were talking about the gap, right? So I said that even at what time was it? It was 2:22. I said there's a gap under, lock on the way, but there's a gap there, so we were targeting the gap. So the point is, the whole community was at that time short in the gap. We were shorting in the gap, and then then we'll talk about IWM short as well, but just want to focus on this one. And then we fill the gap. You can see I was in SPX puts, my puts went 100%. If you were, let's say you had a $2,000, $6,000 position, that became 12,000 position. So that was SPX trade, really made my day, and a lot of traders in the community. So you can see the big move, and you can see the move on the options on SPX, SPY, really kind of worked out there. Same for QQQ. I did tell everybody, we'll talk about the semiconductors in a bit, but QQQ, when Nvidia and AMD were pushing QQQ, when they kind of pulled back, we knew QQQ is coming down. So that's when QQQ also system clockwork, 512 breaks, 3450 clouds break, and then it comes to low of the day, bounce of the low of day, rejects the 3450 cloud again, and then fade back down again. So that was the power of the clouds. That's how you could trade up and down both ways today. If you just have to find a good risk reward entry. You have a system, but finding a good risk reward entry is your task. With practice you can do that. So you could see the VIX was spiking, so we were trading the short. So guys, so this was a guidance today on SPY QQQ. Guys, we were short in the morning. I was not long in that middle way, but we were short later in the close because it was a gap up day, and that's when you capitalize on the gaps. That I always say, gap up and gap down days are the days when you should focus. And we have been gapping down for 5 days in a row. I talked about it yesterday. 5 days in a row, right? So this pullback was about to come. I mean, maybe this is it. It's retest yesterday's highs and bounces from here. I don't know. Maybe another red day. I would take another red day for better reset on the market. But whatever happens, we will be on the right side. We will be trading SPY, QQQ, SPX again. Beautiful, beautiful guidance today. Proud of how the traders nailed it in the community. By the way, only 9% were people were red in the community. Only 6% traders were red in the community. So that's very proud of that. Really proud of that. So let's quickly talk about IWM. So what is IWM? IWM indices of mid-cap stocks who are still trying to grow, who are who are not like those 40, 50, 100 billion companies, but in millions and maybe a couple of billions. And those are the companies which don't really have, which have still growing, need money to grow. So those are the companies in IWM. When the rates spike, IWM is the first one to get hit. When the yield spike, IWM is the first one to get hit. Anyways, we were short on IWM even before that. In the morning, what was the pivot I gave in IBM? Let's go to look at the pivots that I gave for the IWM. So here's the pivots. I had a 198 pivot, then I have 198.62 resistance pivot. So 198 support breaks, and that's where you start a B minus short, and then it breaks the next support of pre-market lows to add into your short. The target was the full gap fill, and that full gap fill short target met. What happened after that? IWM bounces but never reclaims 512. EMA Clouds is still bearish. No need to go long. As soon as the news about the bond auctions hits, the yield spike, you get back into the short, and that's what a lot of traders did, and they nailed it in the community, going back short into the IWM. You can see on the trading floor, how everybody nailed the IWM short. Very proud of this one. Stress-free, easy. I mean, look at this range. It was all day bearish. All you needed to do was find a range, size small, get a good entry, short it, make money. So I have a lot of tickers to cover today, so I will try to go fast. Let me go quickly through our main play in the morning was Netflix. So how did we trade Netflix? Let's go back, look at our morning news play sheet. What was my plan on Netflix? So my plan was Netflix was simple, right? There were two levels we were watching: 546, 552 upside pivot. The support was 538, 532s. Bullish to neutral, we will not chase. We will watch the cloud pullbacks to long. All right, pull back to the cloud, right? Pull back to the support, the clouds. As long as clouds hold, that's where you long starter. Breaks out of the pre-market highs, you add into your position. When I saw that, that's when I said long scalp Netflix. I said that, I guided my traders, and my target was 560 was my first target, and then my next target was 565. We did not met it, but we met our 560 target. I gave the target quite early, right? So we got in at the pre-market highs 546, and we met our 560 target, almost $14-15 per share. Netflix 555 calls went 100%. So can't be more clear than that, guys. A system can't be more clear than that. Guidance can't be more clear than that. Sometimes some new traders come into the community, they're like, here, I'm not getting the alerts, and I tell them we are not an alert service, but I give more than enough guidance even for those. But but the point is, if you are blindly taking my guidance, you will lose one day. My guidance is there to help you trade, make money. That's good, but not blindly. You are responsible for your trades. Anyways, so Netflix, crispy clean guidance, crispy clean pre-market plan. We just nailed it. All right, let's go to the big short of the day, ISRG. What was the news plan on ISRG? So the news plan on ISRG was simple: neutral bias, over under 3450 clouds, gap fill under 384, bounce over it. And what did ISRG did? It breaks the 384. That's when I said to tell everyone, gap fill. By the time I tell you, you should already be in the ISRG. Gap fill short, right? My target I gave everybody was 367, and we met more than that target. We hit 362. more than our 367 target. We hit our 362 on that gap fill trade. You know, I didn't check the options because I was trading short the shares, but I'm sure they went 300 to 400% on there, you know. So that was almost $20 per share short from my guidance, right? Crispy clean plan in the pre-market, crispy clean guidance. So that's why it's only 7% people were red today, because the guidance was there and people are learning every day. All right, let's look at another semiconductor play that we nailed in the community. It was a big one. That was ASML. So what does ASML do? ASML makes semiconductor, you know, this supports the semiconductor industry. Let's go back into the news plays. ASML, it beat expectations of revenue and profit, and it was bullish to neutral. Our two levels were 829, 8 for the resistance pivot, and the support was 820. What happened? Breaks the resistance pivot. That's when I said long over pivots. Can check the option lotos also. Long working nicely. 845 first target, 850 next target, 855 next target. 900 calls coming on the flow. You know, 850 lotos went from $50 to $20 today, right? It's easy trade. And you know, this was the reason AMD and Nvidia were pushing, because this supplies the semiconductor industry and it's a supplier and it reported good. That's why the whole the sector was pushing in the morning. So that was, guys, flawless, another flawless setups. That's why I told everybody last week, in the earnings season, we will kill it, we will nail it. There's so many plays, so many opportunities. You just need to be ready to execute each one of them. All right, let's quickly recap DWAC. So why we were short on DWAC today? Reason we were short on DWAC was that there was so much news going on. Trump was, I think he won in another state, and everybody was like, oh, we go to 100, we go to 100. I knew it's going to be sell the news. I always know that this is not how things work. So I told everybody to short DWAC. You know, we started at the open, but it was holding at open, so we cut it, and I told them it can push to 50. You could long scalp at 512, push it to 50. As soon as 50 reject, you short again. 3450 breaks, you add more size. Low of the day break, you add more size. And now I'm even swinging some puts on DWAC. Here's my timestamp guidance. Short starter, 42 break will confirm the fade. Then even when it's curling, I keep my traders, you know, I make sure let them know what's happening. I told them 512 is curling, I will cut it, and it can push to 50. I told them it can push to 50. 50 psychological level, that's the short. 50 psychological pivot, that's the short right there. It rejects it, and that's where you add clean defined risk at $50. Breaks 52. My target was 36. 36 target met after hours, even met more than that, and it can keep fading. So I told people, you know, you can trade the hold the, it might bounce soon, maybe at 30s or something, but beautifully defined risk, guys. I mean, it might keep running closer to the elections and all that, but there's no need to be getting blindly bullish, right? So my guidance spot on. We were long when it was time to long. We were long here, we were long yesterday over here over 50, and we were short today. So always on the right side, never on the wrong side, guys. Very proud of this guidance as well. So this next trade we're going to discuss is Traxon TXN. So this was the only semiconductor play which was weak today, which was red today. The earnings were not really good, but it didn't kind really work, right? So I was, you know, trying to see if we can gap fill. I did tell everybody in the pre-market that you know, we will look for a B minus push over this 170.50 area, and but it kind of pushed higher and it failed back, clouds, then it became choppy, and then we thought we're gonna get a short, then it again got choppy. So just got out of it, took some scratch loss. It didn't kind of work. You know, I mean, it did have like $2-3 range, but you could have easily traded long scalp and then short scalp, but I don't want to like to do that. I want to have a trend trades, you know, nicer, longer trend but Texan was none of it. So this is a loser idea for the day. So I'm going to talk about AMD first here. Moving back to our semiconductor plays. Let's see what was my guidance on AMD. So I always set price alerts on the pivots, right? So what was the pivot I gave everybody on AMD? So the pivot on AMD was 170, 271 and 173. Support pivots were 170, 150. So what did AMD do? So AMD pulled back to the support pivot, held it, right? It held it. Look at that candle. It held that. When the first 10-minute candle swipes like that, back over clouds, you know that you can long it and use the same level previously, the pivot level I just showed you, as a risk. And then it breaks out of pre-market highs, right? It breaks out. It was bearish initially, but then after the amateur move, it breaks out. That's when you long. If you were short, you get out right away. Right away, you should get out. And then you should long over the pre-market highs. And that's when I said it turned bullish. And the targets I was giving was the 175 was of course the first target, because that's what it pushed to. Then it was flagging. I told everybody about that flag, and you see this flag break price alert coming in. Then 178 was my next target. Over 178 I gave everybody 180 target, and we met all the targets, right? So even if you, let's say you missed this ad when I said turning bullish over this pivot, there was a flag entry. You could risk the low of the flag, enter starter here, enter more over the flag. You still made almost $4 there, right? The options went enough 100% there as well. So AMD, nothing special, clear guidance, very strong, getting a little extended, but that's fine. It's going to keep pushing until it shows us a big red day, when then we will kind of short scalp it. Till then, still holding the 1 hour trend. You see here, still holding the 10-minute trend. So you don't have to find the bottom, guys. You just have to have the best entry when you can succeed on that entry. So you don't really have to find the bottom. So you see, I was not interested in AMD before this, but when it pushed over, that's when you get interested. So beautiful trade on AMD. Let's go to the next one. Next one is from our chip list. I maintain a chip list every day. The semiconductor list. So next one was the same from our semiconductor list. So you can see the next one is from our semiconductor list, and the NVIDIA, but there were a bunch others which were also going, but I'm just going to talk about NVIDIA first here. So let's see NVIDIA. What was my pivot? What was my pivot? What was my pivot on NVIDIA? Let's go back and look. Let's find out what was the pivot on NVIDIA. The pivot on NVIDIA was 605, 606 for resistance. Support was 600. It's a 600 level, guys. It's a 600 psychological level. I keep teaching the psychological level. 600, 600, 600. That's what you need to focus on. 600 level. The psychological levels, 100, 50s. 50 is the VIX short on 50. 100s. I will show you Microsoft from 400s. So anyways, the point was, held it, break out of the pivot I gave, pre-market high, breakout. I said it turns bullish. The first target I gave was 615. Second target I gave 615. Then I told everybody to roll with the profit into 620 calls, and 620 target came, and then finally it hit 625. I did say here, let me show you, let me say, yeah, so I said it can still make a leg higher if it breaks 620. After I said that, it went on to move to 628, right? So you see that from my idea of that flag break, it went to make another 8-point move, right? So you can clearly see the move. You have the end of the entry, then you have this middle of the day entry. So there's so many entries that you could have, either in the morning trades or in the midday trades. There are always opportunities to trade it. So yeah, let's move to the next one. I'm going to quickly talk about AVGO. Next, guys, not going to take much time, but what was my pivot on AVGO? The pivot on AVGO was 1240s, and it crossed that 1240s after the mature pullback, crossed the 1240s, and it went on to 1284. The lotos on it went crazy, the options on it went from probably 100% there as well, because this is the reason I have AVG on our list every day, right? So this is the reason, because when it moves really good. You know, the semiconductor sector is hard, strong, FOMO, so you long it, right? So you long it, so people were doing really good on AVGO in the community. So that's why I keep saying that you have to trade these names. I'm going to quickly recap Meta and Microsoft. Not going to spend too much time, just quickly show you what were our levels and how did it pan out. Let's go back, let's see the pivot levels on Meta. So Meta was 389.50, Microsoft was 400 support, 403 was the breakout. Let's see what Meta did. Meta went out of the pivot I gave to push to 396. Microsoft went from the 400 psychological bounce from the pivot I gave, went on to push to 405.63. So guys, you clearly see a bullish trend. Gap up, holds the cloud and pushes. So that's the setup. Gap up, holds the cloud and pushes. I teach that in my webinars as well. So easy trades on there, Microsoft and. Let's quickly look at our day 2, day 3 setups. So MMM was a day 2 setup. I strictly said day 2, day 3 setups, trade accordingly under the clouds. It failed under the cloud, and then it faded all the way down. MMM, yesterday we made a good money on the short. Today day 2, it goes down. Raga did really good on that, Jairam did good on that, and same for J&J. So J&J was a day 2 setup under the clouds, and then that's bearish. You shorted, use the risk of the clouds or these candle highs, or maybe this 1 hour risk you can use here, and then you shorted. It went from 159.50s to all the way to 158s. Small ATR, decent move. And the other one was ADM. So ADM was, I was talking about that it's bullish. It's a day 3. It turned over the clouds. Look here, it turned over the clouds. That's when I gave an idea to long it. Turned bullish. It moves nightly from 53 to 54.27 for a scalp, right? So that was good. Quickly gonna talk about some of our swing winners that I gave. This was actually both in my community, and I also gave these swings in I gave it on Twitter as well. Let's see if I can just show you guys on the Twitter. So here you go, guys. The setup on Snow was pretty clean. Breakout over this 204, 205 area. Yesterday triggered, so yesterday we longed it, and you can see. And today the Snow, what Snow did was it pushed to 211, and that's what I said. I did say in the morning that we take swing idea, nice gap up, take the profit. And today it was all about 210. It rejected 210, and then market became weak. It could not get over, but we took our profits on Snow. I still have some. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But when it's breaking down like this, you need to exit, take the final profits. It can bounce from the 1 hour level, but 10-minute were bearish. Another one that we got on our swing play, I was in the chart ideas. If you go there, you can see that my Roku idea gave this channel reversal. And what did Roku do? So Roku swing idea was pushed to 94 today. So also another one to take the profits at open before the fade, right? So if 10-minute breaks, you get out. You added under that, and then you just get out, because if 10 minutes are breaking down, you can always re-enter. So you don't really have to hold it. Just take the profits and re-enter, because it's so bearish under 10 minutes, rejected the clouds again and faded back under the clouds. So that's the time to get out. So anyways, were decent swing winners for us. So let's look at the next. All right, guys, let's look at Tesla earnings. So how were Tesla earnings? Tesla earnings were not really good. You guys, you see what Tesla is, last year Tesla made, same quarter it made 24 billion. This year it made 25 billion. That is fine, but its earnings, which is, per share, they went down. Last year it made $1.20. This year it made 71 cents. That's not what you want to see. You want to see earnings growing. I mean, Tesla is so much hype. It's like such a billion, one of the biggest companies, and you don't want to see this. And it's the second quarter Tesla did it. Last quarter it made 66 cents per share. Supposed to make it made dollar last year, and last year third quarter, and this year third quarter it made 66 cents. Again, it's make less money. It's making lesser and less profit. So if it was any other company, that would have been tanked 30-40% by now. Just because it's Tesla, it's still there. Revenue barely increases. So my question is, what can they do different to increase their profit? I don't know if they sell Cybertrucks or whatever. The long-term stock is good, but guys, short-term, yeah, this is not really what I want to see. I mean, like I said, if it was any other stock, it would be shared 30-40% by now. So anyways, guys, so today I said that Tesla, as soon as it came, I told everybody that let's short Tesla. I can show you here what I talked about. Let's see if I can go here. So I said Tesla, we can short under 200. I gave the plan, and 200 is a big level. As soon as I saw the earnings in the pre-market, and so I said short it, short it. Right as the earning came, we shorting the pre-market, very small size. You don't size too much in after hours. So we shorted right where the earning came, 204s, then waiting to see what it does at 200. When 200 breaks, I said short more. Then we added more short at 200, and then as it was fading towards 195s, we covered first on 196. Rest I was supposed to cover if it faded more, but then it started to creep back over 200, and that's when I exited. And although I did give this resistance of 206, the cloud resistance, you can short again, but that faded again. I didn't trade it again. I could have reshorted it. But the point is, guys, Tesla is bearish right now. Tomorrow, I don't know what it does. If it can't hold 200, it fades again. Tomorrow, it can go to its recent lows of 193. If 193 breaks, it can go more lower before eventual reversal back. So there is no guarantee that it's going to swipe tomorrow. If only reason it can swipe is either because there's going to be a bunch of downgrades, I'm sure. If you hit the downgrades, or it will trap the shorts. So somebody already knew the earnings are bad. The way Tesla was trading, they already knew the earnings were bad. They're a seller every day. Now, is it priced in? I don't know really. I mean, it might sell off for a few days before the eventual move up. So we will watch how it does at this 200 level. But very disappointing here on Tesla. There are much better long trades right now. But if Musk is right now on the call, he's not really saying anything really encouraging to help the investors. But anyways, that's my overall bias. But we'll see if 200 is reclaimed, it reclaims over the clouds, then we'll try to long it. As long as it stays under the 1 hour bearish or 10-minute bearish, I'm not trying to long it. So don't get biased. Follow your plans. Look at the levels. If you are a long-term investor, lower the better, and follow the 200 level. All right, guys, let's look at plan for tomorrow. What are we going to do tomorrow? What will be our plan on SPY and QQQ? Let's go to our the market analysis tab and see what's going on. So today, guys, as you see, bonds really yields are really strong. 10-year, 30-year, very strong, and VIX was, I don't know, how did the VIX do? So let's look at that market analysis. Let me find out. There you go. So let's look at the VIX. How was VIX doing? So VIX, VIX is bouncing today. So tomorrow, if guys VIX pushes over 1350 level, and watch the semiconductor sector, because this is the first time we have like a red candle on the all-time high breakout. If we stay under this 485 level on SPY, we can pull back. We can go back to that inside day range we had yesterday, and we can easily come back and retest this 512 clouds. So I'm not blindly bullish tomorrow. If semiconductors fade, this will fade. So keep eyes on the semiconductor. Keep eyes on the 10-year, 30-year yields. Keep eyes on the VIX. Don't get biased. Maybe it's just a one day pullback. But right now there was a big selling. The selling came right after the bond auction, right? Like I discussed earlier. But VIX is very strong right now. So anyways, going with the open mind, tomorrow's market leaning a little bearish, especially if it breaks. and we'll see how it goes, and we will trade. You want to trade with me? Come join my community. Come for the ideas and nice community, but do not come for alerts. I'm there always guiding my traders every day. Thank you. See you guys. Bye bye.